Hey everyone, we're jumping right into the very last chapter of the Bible today to look at one of its most powerful blessings, a promise that, it turns out, opens the door to a really fascinating mystery. So here it is, Revelation 22:14. I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? A really powerful promise. You obey, and in return, you get access to eternal life and a spot in God's kingdom. It feels like the perfect way to wrap up the entire story of the Bible. But what if I told you there's a little bit of a twist here? That there's a mystery hidden inside this one verse, a single phrase that, depending on which ancient copy of the Bible you're reading, completely changes what this promise is all about. Okay, so first, let's just stick with the version that most of us have probably heard before. It says, "Blessed are they that do his commandments." So the big question is, what commandment are we talking about here? Is it a whole list of rules? Well, you might be surprised to hear that the answer is actually really simple. If you look at the whole New Testament, you see Jesus and the Apostle Paul constantly boiling everything down to just one thing: love. And it's not a one-off thing. The scriptures are incredibly consistent about this. In John, Jesus actually calls it a new commandment. In Matthew, he says it's the most important one. And then Paul comes along in Romans and just says it flat out. Love is the fulfilling of the law. So this blessing is for people who live a life of love. Simple enough? Okay, but here's where our whole investigation takes a really sharp turn. Because when we look at the oldest manuscripts we have, it turns out that familiar phrase, doing commandments, might not have been what was originally written at all. So we have two totally different readings here. On one side, we have do his commandments, which shows up in a lot of the later copies. But in the earliest and most respected ancient manuscripts we have, we're talking treasures like the Codex Sinaiticus and Alexandrinus, the verse reads, wash their robes. And the difference in meaning is huge. One is about what we do, the other is about being made clean. And that leaves us with this massive question, right? Is this final blessing something we earn through our good behavior, or is it something we receive as a gift through grace? Is the foundation our work, or is it something that's been done for us? Well, the people who spend their entire lives studying these ancient texts, the scholars, they pretty much all agree. The evidence points overwhelmingly in one direction. Those earliest texts, the ones that get us closest to what was originally written, they tell a slightly different story than the one we might be used to. And here it is. The original reading is almost certainly, "Blessed are those who wash their robes." Now, this phrase points right back to an earlier chapter in Revelation, chapter 7, where the saints in heaven are described as the ones who washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. This means the blessing isn't based on our performance, but on salvation by grace. Now, wait a minute. You might be thinking, that feels like a contradiction. But it's really not. These two ideas, washing your robes and doing the commandment to love, they aren't fighting each other. Actually, they fit together perfectly. It's a cause and effect. Think about it like a tree. Washing our robes through the grace of God, that's the root. That's the foundation, where everything starts. And then doing the commandment to love, that's the fruit that just naturally grows out of that healthy, grace-filled root, you see? Grace isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card from obedience. It's the power that makes it possible. Okay. So with that firm foundation of grace, let's look at the first incredible promise we get in this verse, having the right to the tree of life. What does that even mean? So the key word here is right. In the original Greek, the word is exousia, and it doesn't just mean permission. It means authority, power. It's not just that you're allowed in. It's like you've been given a key, an all-access pass, because of who you are. And this points to something so important. The tree of life isn't just a reward we get way off in the future when we die. No, it's a symbol of God's own life-giving presence. It's about a real intimate connection with Jesus that we can experience right here, right now. This connects perfectly with what Jesus says back in John chapter 6, where he talks about how we have to spiritually eat his flesh and drink his blood to have life in us. This right to the tree is the authority to live in that constant union with God, starting today. So let's move on to that second promise. After we get access to the tree of life, the verse says we get to enter in through the gates into the city. Now, again, it's so easy for our minds to immediately picture, a physical place with shiny streets somewhere far away. But the Bible is pointing to something so much deeper and so much more immediate. See, this city is the New Jerusalem, And the book of Revelation itself tells us who that is. It's the bride of Christ. It's the church, the people of God. So entering the city isn't about changing your address. It's about stepping into a brand new identity. We become citizens of this spiritual kingdom, like living stones being built together into this incredible spiritual house. And just listen to how the book of Hebrews puts it. It doesn't say one day you will come to the city. It says, but ye are come, present tense. It's a reality right now. So let's put all of these pieces together. What this verse is describing isn't just some hope for this sweet by and by. It's about a powerful, real-life experience of God's kingdom today.
The flow is just so beautiful and clear. It all starts with grace, washing our robes. That grace then fuels a life of love, which is what it means to keep the commandment. And that life, lived in grace and love, is the experience of being united with God and having our identity in His kingdom, here and now.
So at the end of the day, the promise of Revelation 22:14 isn't just a ticket to heaven for when you die. It's an invitation to experience the reality of heaven, God's life, His presence, His kingdom, in your actual life, right now. And that's what I want to leave you with. It's so easy to push God's biggest and best promises off into some distant future. But what if the invitation all along has been to come and eat from the tree of life and walk through the gates of the city of God right now? What would change for us if we actually believed that and started living in that reality today?